Hello, Star Citizens, and welcome to review every vehicle in Star Citizen. We've reviewed every ship and vehicle in Star Citizen throughout the 2024 calendar year. This is just us adding the new ones to keep true to our series name and provide a one-stop shop for every ship you need a review for. Remember, digital vehicles aren't imaginary. Digital vehicles are imagine-necessary. Every month we do a giveaway to give back to this wonderful community. This month's giveaway prize is going to be an LTI Anvil Asgard with the Greycat Nova pack. Wait, Greycat Nova? No, that would be a Tumbril Nova pack. To enter the contest, make sure you subscribe to Billionaire Ninjas, leave a comment on at least one video, and like or dislike at least one video. Winners have 2 weeks to claim their prize. Members have a better chance of winning just for being members. So if you're subscribed, consider hitting that join button. And if you're not subscribed, I appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. For the full giveaway details, make sure you visit our Billionaire Ninjas Discord or our social media at Ninjas Leap. Today, we return to the Greycat manufacturer, and the next vehicle is the Greycat MTC. Yes, it has arrived, and we're late. And it has no variants. The MTC is $50 standalone, $45 war bond, was $45 at concept. Cost in game is unknown. The MTC is time limited for real world purchase. The MTC is not available to rent in game as of the making of this video. Let me start by saying I'm not the biggest fan of purchasing vehicles outside the game, with only a few exceptions. So almost always I'm going to suggest buying these in-game because they are so cheap. But I'm guessing in the future that will change, and I want these videos to still serve a purpose. So for people who don't think the same as I do, I will say, I will rate this as though they do have value as far as spending money. Drive into the fray with Greycat's tough and reliable MTC. Perfect for carrying weapons and armor to the battlefield, to the bunkers, to the outposts, and to expedition sites, and more. The Greycat MTC. For measurements, the MTC, length 7 meters, beam 5.5, height 2 meters. If I ranked vehicles from small to medium to large to extra large in Star Citizen, this would be a large. For crew, the MTC has a minimum crew of 1, maximum crew of 1. MTC can carry 0 SCU. The claim time for this vehicle should be about 2 minutes. The expedited claim time is about 1 minute, and the fee for expediting the claim time is about 540 credits. For top speed, it is 35 meters per second. For weapons, the MTC comes stock with 2 size 2 driver controllable bespoke laser repeaters. For hull HP, the MTC has 16,900 HP, which is average for a vehicle, but armor is part of the package, so expect it to be a bit beefier than the Ursa when it's all said and done. For shields, the MTC comes stock with 1 size 0 pin civilian grade C bubble type shield with 545 total HP and recovering 52 HP per second. For vehicle parts, the MTC has the same size parts. They have 1 extra small radar, 1 extra small power plant, 1 extra small cooler, 1 extra small shield generator, and some special features and amenities for these vehicles are 2 rifle weapons racks, 2 suit lockers, and 1 large weapons rack for a railgun. The MTC has half of an SCU of total stowage outside of the racks and lockers. The MTC can fit anywhere the Ursa can fit except the Constellation Phoenix as far as which vehicles you can take. My preferred loadout is change out the Badger repeaters that come stock for Dominance laser scatter guns and leave the rest stock. A quick shout out to my members, a quick shout out for my first ninjas, Arthur Vandalay, Survivor to Hero, and Ray. My Hokage, Dr. Forbin, Old Weeb, ETL and Spades. My Joni Ninjas, Radium TX, Paling Tan, The Solid Exodus, Damon Danielson, Dark Wolf God, The Real Phil 64, and Rage 1. And of course, all of my other members from every level who are all listed at the end of the video. As always, membership is never required, but it is always appreciated. You help make this YouTube dream even more possible, so thank all of you. Now, it is time to rate these vehicles. I rate from 1 to 10. My 1 is only buy if you have a unique reason that is specific to you or because you like the looks of the vehicle. My 10 is if you have the money. These vehicles are almost guaranteed to be useful to you in the game. A 1 doesn't mean the vehicles are useless or ugly, and a 10 doesn't mean that the vehicles are perfect. Just remember, these are just our ratings. Please give us yours in the comments below. And if you do, we promise we won't take it personally when you're wrong. Well, at least we won't say it out loud. If we do, we'll just cry internally. My rating for this vehicle is going to be a 9. Let's start with what I like about this vehicle, which is pretty much everything. Well, the Greycat MTC is pretty much everything you want in a vehicle in Star Citizen. It's tough, it has a shield, it can carry just about everything you would ever need for a fight on the ground. It has nice sized weapons that can be swapped for whatever mission you're on. It can fit into just about any place the Ursa can fit. The weapon can be both driver and co-pilot operated, and with all that, it still manages to have decent speed. I also love that the weapon drops down when not in use, so the weapon doesn't become the reason you can't fit the vehicle inside of ships. The ramp even comes out at an angle to where you can exit the ship without the ramp hitting the interior of your ship. What players needed was a vehicle that can act as your base of operations while you're conducting FPS gameplay, whether that is mining in a cave or fighting through a bunker. So let's talk about the issues with this vehicle and how I would fix them. You might be thinking, well, it has everything, why not a score of 10? Well, I think a 9 is very high for a vehicle. It's not quite reaching my 10 because of one thing. It feels like it should have been Spartan sized. Now hear me out here. I love the MTC, I'm glad it exists, and I think it needs to exist in this current form factor so it can fit into more vehicles. However, I can't help thinking that the one thing that is missing is a medical bed, which seems like it would fit if the MTC was the size of the Spartan. I don't want to say it's a missed opportunity because the MTC is great, and we obviously have the NERSA that you can pair with this to get your medical bed. My fear is that now that CIG has gone with this form factor, they will abandon any thoughts of a Spartan-sized MTC with a medical bed. I also can't help but think that the only problem with the MTC is that it is too small to fit the other things that would make it perfect. I've already mentioned the medical bed, but if it was slightly bigger, it could have a few more jump seats. It could have a second entrance. It could have a full SCU of storage capacity, or it could have space for a mech suit if we wanted to really get crazy. I mean, if you're calling it the MTC, I'm sorry, I have to hold it to a higher standard. That being said, it still gets a 9. The last thing I just found this a bit weird, I guess, where the MTC Q&A doesn't quite match up with whatever else I'm seeing, but maybe it's because it hasn't been balanced yet. They state that the MTC is slower than an Ursa because it's tougher with more armor plating, but then when you look at the HP, it's lower than the Ursa's HP by a few thousand. So I don't know if that's just something that they haven't fixed yet or what, but that's something that's a little weird. So again, it's a 9, it's very high. If it had either of those things that I mentioned, it would either be a 9.5 or a 10. It's one of my new favorite vehicles in Star Citizen. So that brings me to why this vehicle is scored as it is. I really wanted to say the MTC was perfect because it is such an excellent vehicle, and kudos to you, CIG, you know, for getting both the vehicle and the pricing right, because I know that's a challenge sometimes. But if you give it a 10, I don't have a lot of arguments for you. Maybe it's the military veteran in me, but when I think of Mobile Tactical Center, which is what MTC is supposed to stand for, I think of a slower moving and massive vehicle that has everything you need to run the entire mission. And a medical bed is one of those things that is missing. But I have seen TOCs before, and those are tactical operations centers. And generally, you just put the tent in the middle, and then you have the vehicles around it, and all of those vehicles have what you need necessary to run that that operating center. So it's very possible that that's what's being built in the future, and then I will eat all of these words. But for now, it gets a 9. It's hard to say this without it sounding like a complaint, because it isn't a complaint. It's more like I wish you gave this a different name, like the MCC, Mobile Combat Center, and save the MTC for a potentially Spartan-sized version. So, who is the MTC for? Well, I have to say the MTC is pretty much for everyone. I can't think of a person who wouldn't be able to make use of the MTC. If you do anything industry related, this can carry your tools and different suits that make it easier for you to do your tasks. If you're combat oriented, it's more geared towards that purpose and can store just about anything you would need on a mission. I mean, even if you're a racer, this could store your different racing suits. Maybe you have one that is tougher and can withstand the harsh elements when you're not in an enclosed vehicle, and another that's more lightweight for when you're in an enclosed vehicle. I imagine using the MTC as part of a group of vehicles that will give me everything I need outside of a ship for ground operations. I will pair the MTC with a NERSA and a Cyclone MT, which will give me anti-air, anti-armor, anti-personnel, along with the medical bed, suit lockers, weapons racks, internal stowage, and enough seats to safely bring 8 org mates along for the ride. I know you're here for our rating, but if you really want a vehicle, go buy it. We won't stop you. Or even better, all vehicles can be earned in-game once the game is released, and some you can purchase in-game right now. These are just our ratings, but when you spend, it's your money. My opinion, I think the MTC is one of the best vehicles CIG has ever done, and they deserve praise for it. I think if you're interested in ground vehicles at all, this should be on the short list to pick up, because for me, this one's going in the fleet, folks. All right, that is it for this one. Shout out to the members. Thanks for spending your time with us. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.